Welcome to Lesson 4. In this lesson, we're going to look at what chords are, and we're going to add some chords to our weekly sequence. And then afterwards, I'm going to show you how you can add chords to your other little piece of music. So let's get started. We'll start the same way we always do, which is File, Open, and Load Weekly in. And now we can see we have our beat and our bass from last time ready to go. Now the first thing that we're going to do is talk about what a chord is. A chord, very simply, is when you play two or more notes at the same time, usually notes that are part of the scale of the key that you've chosen for your piece of music. That's it. It's that simple. Now, today we're going to use two different chords. The first chord is A minor, which is the same as the key we're in and matches the bass line that we put in last week. And the second chord is G major. Now we don't have anything ready for the second chord, so the first thing we're going to have to do is duplicate this bass and this drum part. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can click on each part individually and drag them out. The other way we can do it is to do both of them at the same time. So first of all, pause the video here and just make those duplicate copies of the drum and the bass. Welcome back. Now that we've got our new bass for the G major chord, we need to change the notes of it to match the G major chord, because at the moment it's on an A minor. So let's double click on the second purple clip here. And here you can see that all the notes are on A1 here. And what I need to do is move them to G1. Now again, there's two ways we can do this. You can either click and drag on a note and pull it down to the G, or you can click on this orange dot on the piano here, and you can see now it's selected all of the notes for you. And now choosing any one, it doesn't matter which, let's choose this one, you can click and drag down to the G. So let's pause the video and let's change the notes. Go for it. Okay, we now have our bass line and our beat ready to put our chords in. Let's just remind ourselves of what this sounds like now. And there's the chord change. A, G. Okay, good so far. Now then, let's close this grid. Let's click New Track now. We can do this together. Let's click New Track now and come down to the blue one that says Sound Bank. And now that makes a new track for you. And you can see again, it looks very different on this instrument panel. And the instruments here are very similar to the ones you might have on a keyboard in your classroom. Now we're going to come and select Synth. So move your mouse down and hover it over Synth. And now move your mouse across onto the new menu that's opened here on the right. And now I'm going to come up to Pad 2 Warm. Okay, so I'll show you the whole thing again. So if you're doing it and still doing it, you can watch again. You can click on Acoustic Grand Piano. Then move your mouse across and down to Synth. And then on the new menu, move across again and up to Pad 2 Warm. You can pause the video here if you need to, but hopefully you've managed to follow that as we did it. Now, here's where we need to make clips to put our new chords in. The first thing I'm going to do is on the track that the sound bank has made, I'm going to double click next to bar 1 at the beginning here, and I've got a new clip appeared, and I've got my grid again, the same grid as we had last week with our bass. I'm just going to move the notes up a little bit because I think we're going to need to see them. So I'm just going to move it so that I can see A2 and A3. Don't worry if you can't, because everybody's screen is different zoom. And sometimes what you see on mine won't look exactly the same as on yours, but it is the same. It's just you've got a different zoom. So if we come down here, we can see we've got our A2 note. So the chord we're going to do for the A minor is 3 notes. The first note is A2, C3, and E3. Like that. Okay? So what I would like you to do now is pause the video and put in those notes. I'll put them on the screen for you now. So pause the video and just put those notes in first. Okay, so we've got our notes in. We've got our A2, our C3, and our E3. Now, I don't want them to just play for this short period of time here. I want them to play across the whole bar. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this again. We could hover our mouse on the edge and you see it changes to that sizing tool that we had the other day in our first lesson. We could click and drag the note out all the way across. That's one way we could do it. Or the easier way is to click on the note and press legato. And legato will extend the note to the next one. But because there isn't a next note, it will actually take us all the way across the bar, like this, watch. And there you go, really easy. Now we can make this even quicker by clicking and holding and sweeping our mouse across so that we select both of them, and then we press legato, and it does it for both of them at the same time, which is much quicker. So pause the video and let's do the legato stretching of our notes. Okay, so now we've got our first chord. We've got an A minor. We're not going to play it just yet. We'll keep it till the end, till we've put both chords in. So I'm going to double click and put a new clip in ready for our G chord. And now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start on the G2, the B2, and D3. And then I'm going to sweep across them all, or do them one at a time, and press legato. Like that. Okay, same thing again. Pause the video. I'll put the notes up for you. Draw them in, and then press legato to put them across. So now that we've put our notes in, we can have a listen and see what we've got. Okay, that sounds great. But I do notice that the chords sound a lot louder than the bass and the drums. So I'm just going to balance the volume or how loud the chords play by using this slider here that you can see on the track information. So to turn it down, I'm going to left click on the circle and drag, and I'll take it to about where the U is. And we'll see if that's come down enough and now makes the volume of our chords in line and balanced with the volume of our bass and the volume of our drums. So let's press rewind and let's have a listen again. Okay, that's good. I'd say perhaps it's a little bit too quiet now, so let's bring it up a little bit. There we go. So somewhere over the T there I think sounds good. Okay, let's press stop. That's that bit of the lesson done. And that's the end of this week's weekly session. So now you should have 2 blocks of drums, 2 blocks of bass, one that plays the A note and one that plays the G note. Let's look at that. The A note and the G note. And you should have 2 chords. The first one plays A, C, and E, and the second one plays G, B, and D. So that's it. So to make sure we're all safe and ready to go next week, let's come up to the corner, press File, and Save. And there we go. All saved and up to date. So now that we've done that, I thought it would be interesting to go back to my other piece that I was playing around with, adding a beat and bass to, and see if I can add some chords to that. So I'm going to come to File again and Open, and there it is. I called it my drums. Let's remind ourselves of what we've got. Yes, I like that. But I do think actually it's a little bit slow now, so maybe I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So let's open our tempo window and use the plus symbol. And let's try taking it up 3 or 4. That sounds about right. It's a little bit faster, not quite so ploddy. Excellent. Click off, and now I'm ready to add some chords. Now I'm going to stop it so we don't keep hearing it. And I'm going to put in another sound bank. This time I think I'm going to use a different kind of voice, perhaps something brass. So let's put a whole brass section in, and I'm going to double click and make a clip. Now again, because I've chosen my key, E minor, I'm seeing all the blue lines, and I know that these blue lines are the scale notes and notes that work correctly with my key. So again, because we are in the key of E minor, I'm going to start on that home note, and I'm going to put a note in there. And you can hear it's quite a raspy sound, so that's good. Let's try another note. Let's try an A. And let's try a C. What does that sound like? Sounds good. Now this sounds like a sound that would work on both a short note and a long note. So maybe I'm going to repeat the chord again, and I can do that by selecting them, and you can see I can now duplicate my notes. But this time I'm going to select them and move them over. And rather than duplicate again, I'm going to stretch them out like that. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like. Da da. I like that. Let's just shorten the loop a bit. Great. Now we need a second chord in our 2 to beat 3 range. So we'll change it as a start point. Maybe I'll come on the G this time. And let's do this one. And let's try that one. Select them. And this time we'll have a fast and then a short. So I'm going to duplicate them out again. But this time shorten them and reverse it the other way. Let's have a listen. I like the chord changes, but I don't think I like the timing. So I'm just going to sweep across these 2 new chords and let's move them up so they actually go over different beats and see what that does to it. Okay, I like the way that's swinging. I think we could get away with one more chord at the end here, maybe on the 4 beat. Let's try that. So let's go with something like a B here. And maybe I'll just do 2 notes to finish on. Let's see what happens if we do the B and the C. I wonder if they're going to work together or if they'll sound too close to each other. Let's have a listen. Oh, Oh, I don't know if that is good or if that's bad. It's kind of both, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe let's widen them out a little bit and see what it does. Oh, I like that, and I kind of like the timing. Let's try the timing somewhere else. That puts a little pause in it. Even further. I think I'm going to keep it where it was. But maybe we could get away with one more chord in there. Let's have a little try. This time I think I'm going to select this one here, and we'll do another 2-note chord. Maybe we'll keep the same note here. See what that does. Okay, I quite like that. What would happen if I stretch this note to meet this note? I kind of like it. I kind of don't. I think I'm just going to leave it as it was. Excellent. Now I'm going to duplicate these chords that I've made over onto my other bass line. So we'll move the loop over as well. So it's looping around the new area I'm going to work. I've clicked on my part and I've dragged it over. And now when I press play, it moves into the area that I want to work on. Now, let's just try changing. You'll keep the same positions, but this time we'll change. I think I'll keep all the low notes the same, but this time we'll change the notes above. So let's see what happens if we do that. I'll drag this one up to this B and this one up to this D. And I'm going to move this one right up the top and maybe keep that where it is. And let's move this one to here. And scroll up a bit and move this one up. And we'll drag this one up here like that. And let's drag both of these. What happens if we move them onto completely different blue ones? I'm just guessing here, but because I'm using the blue lines, I know that it fits the scale. Doesn't mean that it's going to work really well, but it does mean it's not going to sound horrible. So let's hear this new one. We'll take it back, hear the whole thing and see how it goes in. Oh, almost. This middle one's a bit weird. That's good. I think I'll change this one as well. Nice. So even though it was right, it still sounded a bit wrong at first, but you could see just by dragging some of those notes onto other blue ones and keeping the notes in the scale, even though I don't know what these chord names are, I can still make chord patterns that work really well. So that's what I'd like you to try doing now. So load up one you've made before or start a new one, but do make sure that you've got your scale setting on, because if you haven't got the scale setting on, you won't have these blue lines. And as you hopefully can see now, the more you use these blue lines, the better your music is going to sound. So that's the end of this lesson. I'll see you next time, and in the meantime, have fun.